Today I'm going to be talking about the TV and film industry in Ireland, and I'm going to be, comparing private versus public. What I'm going to be covering is ownership of the media industry, broadcast regulatory bodies, public versus private sector, trade unions, pay, holiday pay, sick pay leave, maternity, paternity and adoptive leave, health and safety, standards of production and video overview. The Irish media industry, it's quite small, but the main ones are RTE, it's a semi-state owned body, and it's in the public sector. TV3 is owned by Liberty Global, which is a parent of the Virgin Media Group. It was acquired for 87 million in 2015. With TV3, as it's private, it doesn't have the benefit of the license fees, so it's more commercial operation. It lives and dies by its advertising revenue and its audience share. UTV is currently being acquired by Virgin Media, and that's just been approved in November 2016. Netflix, it's got a lot of people in Ireland use it. That's on the NASDAQ. And it was founded by Reed Hastings in 1997. As regards cinema, they're controlled by the studios to a large extent. In the US, 6 studios control 90% of film production and distribution. They're 20th Century Fox, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Columbia, Universal, and Walt Disney Pictures. Ireland, it's been accused by the European Commission of having a high risk of concentration in media ownership, but this is probably more to do with the print media section and Dennis O'Brien, but it's something to be wary of, because in countries such as the US that has become a problem. Regulation, there's the Press Council of Ireland, that deals with the press, not so much our concern. The Irish Film Board deals with films. Broadcasting Association of Ireland, BAI, was set up in 1988. That was prior to TV3 starting up. It was to cover commercial TV in Ireland. And the Irish Film Classification Office covers censorship in Ireland. RTE is public sector, semi-state body, and that was founded in the 1960s, the main TV station in Ireland. It's funded by 85% of the license fee. And because it's got the license fee as part of its commercial, as part of its revenue, it's limited to 6 minutes of advertising per hour, unlike TV3. It's got over 1,800 employees, and because it's public sector, the majority of its activities are public sector in nature, which TV3 does not. It doesn't have that remit, not so much. With RTE, it has got it recognises unions, so employees do have, they've got better working conditions. These include, they've got pensions, most of them have pensions, they're entitled to sick pay, the rates of pay are negotiated by the unions, so there's standard rates that are paid. And as it's financed by the license fee, there's less pressures for programs to be commercially successful. So editorially, it's got more freedom. Well, no, I wouldn't say that, but it doesn't have to look at the commercial aspect always. TV3 is owned by Liberty Global and operated through Virgin Media Ireland. There's 200 employees. Launched in 1998. In the early days, it was heavily dependent on acquisitions, but recently it's started to, its homegrown productions have increased, and now it's up over 40% are Irish produced. You've got Red Rock at the moment, which is a huge success, and that's been sold to Amazon Prime for over $1 million, BBC, and to Australia as well, and New Zealand. And going forward, TV3 are looking at creating more programs that can be distributed abroad. That helps them commercially. And one problem with working in TV3, because it's commercial and they don't have the benefit of the license fee, they try and minimise costs. The bottom line is the most important thing. And in the private sector, one of the areas where you can minimise costs are staff costs, and that comes under a lot of pressure. You've got zero rate contracts, 0 hour contracts, and pensions are just for senior management, and short term contracts are very, very common, and there's no union recognition. Trade unions in Ireland, as I said, TV3 they're not recognised, but RTE, because it's a public body, they do recognise unions, and because of that, employees do have improved working conditions, higher wages, and more favourable terms. Pay in RTE, and the pay, in general, it's minimum wage is $9.15 an hour, but with RTE, as I said, it's union, so generally speaking, there is more, staff are paid more. In TV3, employees negotiate their own pay, and they do tend to pay lower. There was a case a few years ago, I think it was 2010, cameramen in TV3 got less than half the pay, or around half the pay of cameramen in RTE. Annual pay. Taking annual leave, all employees are entitled. If they're full-time, they're entitled to 4 weeks per year. But as is the case with many employees, especially in TV3, they'd be more part-time. So that would be calculated on 8% of the hours worked in the year. Sick pay. There's no statutory obligation to pay sick pay, but some employees do find for employee engagement and morale, they do pay sick pay. There's nothing worse than working in a company where somebody's working really, really hard, working overtime, not unpaid overtime, and they go out sick, they don't get paid. RTE are quite generous with sick pay. I think it's 5 days. TV3, it's a lot more than that. Maternity. There's 26 weeks maternity leave mothers have. Employers aren't under obligation to pay, but many do. But it's generally speaking at a reduced rate. RTE are known to be more generous than TV3 in this aspect. Pensions. They're regulated by the Pension Authority. RTE used to have defined benefit, but a few years ago they moved over to defined contribution due to shortfalls in their contributions. One thing with pensions is in the industry, the way things are going, the state pension is under serious pressure. I mean, in the future, it's very doubtful, people will be able to live on that. So it's pretty important that people do look at the pensions. TV3 pensions entitlements are generally limited to management and those in senior positions. Under health and safety, both RTE and TV3, they're obliged to comply with the Health and Safety and Welfare Act 1989. Just ensures a safe environment for employees. And generally speaking, companies do have their own health and safety, their statements. And that is it. Thank you very much.